Okay, welcome to our next tutorial, which deals with creating from scratch and importing data into an Access database. So what I've done is I've opened up Microsoft Access 2013, which if you're following along, you'd want to do the same. I have in a prior tutorial gone through and set up an Excel document with normalized data tables formatted correctly to cleanly import into Access. And that's where we're going to start. So what we're looking at right now is pretty much the startup screen for Microsoft Access. And when you start Access 13, you're going to get this. This is the Access Project Gallery. So this is very different from Access 2010, if you ever saw that. Okay, so it gives you the ability to go through and search online to view additional database templates that you can choose from. Or if you're like me, going a little old school, you can create your own blank database from scratch. All right, now that's what we're going to do. So we're going to create this blank database and we're going to call this database Redbox. All right, I'm going to open this up. Now, if you've been following along in your text, or if you're just using this as a review, you know that the four objects of Access databases are tables, queries, reports, and forms. The basemost level being a data table. No data tables equal no database, all right? So when you open up a brand new blank database, you do have one table that is pre-created for you. There it is in the object viewer. There's the table. We don't want this table. We've created our data tables in Excel. We're going to import that in and we're going to take it from there. So we're going to nix this and we didn't save it. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to external data and we're going to import from Excel. Import from Excel. All right, now I've got mine saved to my desktop. You can download yours from Moodle if you need it, if you don't already have it. I definitely suggest trying it on your own, not just necessarily using my file just to get that experience. Okay, and I want you to take a look as we go through this because we're going to do this a few times. There are three tables that we're going to import. On the very first import, notice that there are only two options: link to an existing data table or import from a data source. Okay. When we do this again, there'll be a third choice that's not there yet, and you'll see why. So we're going to click OK. And up next, it's going to ask us, well, what do you want to import? Now, if you think back or if you watch the prior video, you'll see that I suggested putting each data table that you want to import on its own tab within the worksheet, its own workbook, or excuse me, worksheet within the workbook. That is because when you go into Access, it will see each one of those worksheets, like so, and it gives you an easier move to import that data. So we're going to import our customers from the customers worksheet that we created. Okay, our first label, our first row contains headings as it should, so we have that checked. Okay, we then go through and you have the ability to set the data types. Now, this is very scary when you get into Access because the data types actually make a difference. Single, double, long integer, currency. These are all things that I suggest you look into the Access help files to really learn more about, because when you want to go from being good at database design to being great at database design, the little nuances like setting up the correct data type is going to be something that you really want to pay attention to when making sure that you don't have a database that's bloated, slow responding, and just too heavy, because you do have that max file size when dealing with Access. All right, so for now we're in pretty good shape. Okay. Do we need double for account number? Probably not, but for now we just keep it the way it is. We're going to click next. Okay. So the next thing you have to do is define the primary key. Now, do we know what the primary key is of the contacts table or whatever table you're importing? We do. In this particular case, it is the account number. So I'm going to choose my own primary key and I'm going to choose account number. Now I want you to notice a couple things. If I didn't have a primary key or if I wanted to auto number, I could let Access set the primary key for me and it's going to auto number those. That could work if you wanted to go ahead and set up serial numbers for you. In this case, we don't want to do that. Or if you're importing a table that's got a concatenated key, which we'll do in a second, you can choose no primary key and then define it in the details section once we get imported in Design View. So we're going to click Next again. The table that we import is going to be called Customers. We click Finish. We click Close. And guess what? Voila. We have a data table. All right, on your own, go ahead and try to import the other two tables, the movies table and the inventory table, or excuse me, the inventory table and the transactions table. I'm going to actually do that on my own as well on this video, just so you can check it out really quickly, but maybe not in as much detail, because I do want you to see what you need to do if you're importing a table that has a concatenated key. So I'm going to go back into Excel really quickly. Notice now there's a third choice. The reason that there's a third choice is because now I have the ability to update or append the table that I've just created. So if I have new customers that are importing from another store, I don't have to import them into a new table. I can use them to supplement the current table that we already have. I don't want to do that though. So I'm going to go ahead and browse to my example data. Okay. This time I'm going to import transactions. Now, I do need you to import that inventory table, but just to make sure this video is shortened, we're going to let you import that inventory table on your own, making sure the serial number is the primary key. We're going to import the transactions table so you can see exactly what happens when you need to import a concatenated table. So we're going to click Next. First row still contains column headings. Okay. Date, just like we talked about in the prior video, is set correctly. Double, that's fine. We're going to click Next, and this time we're going to choose No Primary Key. Now, why did we do that? We chose No Primary Key because when you're importing from anything, not just Excel, but Word or whatever, unless it's another database, you cannot define a concatenated key at import. You have to define a concatenated key, meaning a combined set of fields to create a common or a unique field. You have to do that from design view of the table. So in this particular case, we're going to choose No Primary Key, Next, and Finish. Now when this gets done, let me show you the difference. So here's the customers table that we imported first. If I go into design view, you know that the account number is the primary key because it's indicated by this little golden key right there, golden key. Okay. If I open up the transactions table, I switch to design view, no golden key. It's because we didn't define a primary key. That's because all three of these fields need to go together in order to make a unique field. So what are we going to do? We're going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to highlight those three. So just to recap, I'm in design view of the transactions table that we just imported. These three fields need to be a concatenated key in order to make them a primary key or a unique field setting. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to click primary key. And just like that, you have a primary key. Two tables are imported. All right, so go ahead and try to import that inventory table on your own, making sure that serial number is the primary key. And once that's done, save everything. We'll meet back and I'll talk to you about setting up relationships. All right.